Hey everybody, I am David, and this is going to be my video for my Spider-Man movie villains from worst to best. I'm going to rank all the Spider-Man villains and tell you guys what I think all of them are, like ranking them in terms of that. And some of these characters might surprise you, some of them might not. Some of them have appeared in different forms, like more than one actor has portrayed them. Some of them have only appeared once, and I thought it would be a fun time since Spider-Man: Homecoming is coming out, and it's already being said that Michael Keaton is really good as the Vulture. He could actually go up there with some of the better MCU villains that are out there. Some people say the MCU villains are not all of them have been the best. Some of them have been pretty forgettable. Loki being the best. They're saying Vulture, played by Michael Keaton, is actually a very welcome addition to the MCU villains and Spider-Man villains in general. So if you are a huge Spider-Man fan, you might be happy that we're getting a really good take on this character, which is good for me because I have never been a huge fan of the Vulture. So some of these characters actually have appeared in the movies already. Some of them I wasn't a fan of either before they were done in live action. I'll get through them. So let's talk about one of the worst villains. Let's start off with the worst. Rhino is at number 8. There's 8 Spider-Man villains, and Rhino hits the bottom of the list. He appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was very brief in the beginning and very brief at the end, setting him up in his robotic rhino costume, if that's what it was. It didn't really look, maybe a little bit, I don't know. But it was a terrible rendition played by Paul Giamatti. And this was supposed to set up the Sinister Six movie, and they messed it up by making him into a buffoonish cartoon man, Rhino, whatever you want to call him. Let's get to number 7. Number 7, I have Sandman. I thought Thomas Hayden Church did a fine job acting-wise. I just felt the way the character was portrayed was pretty cringeworthy at times. There was some cringeworthy moments in the movie, specifically with him and his daughter. I get it, they were trying to make him sympathetic, but to me, I didn't really buy it in the movie. It was just kind of like, I thought his powers were cool. That was great. But to me, it's like a Batman Forever situation where Tommy Lee Jones, really good actor, not right for Two-Face in that movie anyways, but Two-Face later on was redeemed, and I hope to see one day the same thing be seen for Sandman, because I think there is a great character there. For me personally, I didn't feel it was properly displayed in Spider-Man 3. At number 6, I have another Spider-Man 3 villain, Venom. I think most fans can agree we were pretty disappointed with this take of the character. And, Topher Grace, who played Venom, Eddie Brock in this movie, I felt fine. He was a nice rival to Peter Parker. I mean, I get why they casted Topher Grace. Topher Grace looks like he could have also played Spider-Man at one point in his life. He kind of seems like the polar opposite of Tobey Maguire in some ways as well. Like they could have been equals, just one was a douchebag, the other one was Tobey Maguire. And but to me, it just felt like the character he was playing in that 70s show, where I could have seen someone better in that role. And unfortunately, maybe giving Sam Raimi that character didn't necessarily help all that much, since he didn't seem all too thrilled to use that character. And you can feel it that this is not a Sam Raimi character. This doesn't fit in his style of Spider-Man films. They should have kept him out. At number 5, I have Electro. Electro being a little bit higher than Venom and Sandman, for me, makes sense. I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I actually thought The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not as bad as people made it out to be. I actually thought it was pretty enjoyable. Yes, it wasn't the best Spider-Man movie. And Electro, I'll admit, when he is in his human form before he turns into Electro, I did feel that Edward Nygma vibe from Batman Forever a little bit, that little campiness to him that I didn't like in the beginning. But I felt once he became Electro, I felt he became much better because he played a little bit more serious, which is what I liked. And his power seemed like it could have been really cool too. I don't think they utilized him enough to really showcase that, though, because he was caught in the middle for a while and then he had to escape and all that. So unfortunately, hopefully we get one day another interpretation of Electro in the MCU. Who knows? Next on my list, number 4, I have Norman Osborn, the first Green Goblin, played by William Dafoe and played briefly by Chris Cooper in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It was more of a cameo in that one. So this is more for William Dafoe's version of that character. I actually thought his version was really good. And funny enough, it's kind of the opposite for me when it comes to Green Goblin and Electro. Where with Electro, I liked him when he became Electro more. I actually liked William Dafoe's version of Norman Osborn more than the Green Goblin. I felt his Green Goblin was a little bit too hammy at times, too over the top. I wish there would have been a better way of making him look psychotic than making him sound psychotic, because I really felt he felt a little too cartoonish. And I get it, it's a comic book movie and that's Sam Raimi's style. I just felt he balances the campiness a little bit more in other films. I still enjoyed William Dafoe's performance as the Green Goblin and this take of him. I just felt there were better villains out there. Number 3, I have Harry Osborn. That's right, the second Green Goblin, the son of the original Green Goblin, played by James Franco in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, and then played by Dane DeHaan in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I thought both versions were actually nicely well done. If I had to pick my favorite version of the two, though, I'm probably going to lean towards James Franco's take on the character. I just like how they made him sympathetic, but not in a non-cringy way. Even though in Spider-Man 3, it did get a little cringy at times, but I liked his progression into that character that he gets to by the end of the third one. And, you know, if you don't tear up a bit at the end of the third movie, spoiler warning, when he dies, sacrificing himself, I think there is a full character arc to really understand there. And in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I felt that it was kind of just a little bit of a rehash of what already happened, just making Harry more psychotic and more evil. There could have been a little bit more sympatheticness to him, but I think they were hoping to deal more with that if the franchise had continued, which they didn't. They kind of rebooted it again. Next on the list, I have the Lizard at number 2. The Lizard, played by Rhys Ifans, I think his name is. He was the guy who played Luna Lovegood's father in the Harry Potter franchise in the last 2, I think. And yeah, he played the Lizard. Obviously, Kirk Connors was there before in the other 3, Spider-Man 2 and 3, the Sam Raimi ones. But the take in The Amazing Spider-Man 1 is the version I actually like a lot. Again, he's a more sympathetic villains. The Spider-Man villains seem to have that. A lot of them seem to be very sympathetic, and I felt this one was one of the better ones, more well done. And the actor that played him is just a really good actor in general, that I liked seeing that. It was kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of scenario, and you wanted Peter to kind of save him, you know, because you knew that Kirk Connors wasn't a bad guy. He was a good guy. He just couldn't control what he was turning into and what it was doing to him. At number one, I have Doc Ock. That's right, Doctor Octopus is my number one favorite villain. This is actually one of the first villains, uh, in the animated stuff in the comics. I never cared much for Doctor Octopus. This is one of the villains I was kind of hinting at in the beginning of my video. Just like the Vulture, who I was never a fan of the Vulture. I was never a fan of Doc Ock until this movie, until Spider-Man 2. I really felt, just like all the other ones, sympathetic, but I thought it was really well done. Just like the Lizard, both of them to me are neck and neck as my favorite movie villains that Spider-Man has faced. And I felt Alfred Molina did a really good job at making us feel that. He was kind of a mentor to Peter Parker, just like Kirk Connors was. And when he turns into this monster, you feel sorry for him and what it's doing to him. But I do like that they gave him kind of a little bit of a redemption by helping Peter a little bit at the end when he realizes everything that's been happening. And to me, that's what makes him a good character, is a character that realizes, wait, you know what, you're right, Peter, I gotta try to make up for what I did now. And he goes out in style and he becomes sort of a hero at the end, a little bit, when he sacrifices himself to make amends for his wrongs. So that was my list, guys. Those are my Spider-Man villains from worst to best. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, especially if you are a huge superhero fan. I'm a fan of Marvel, DC, and even other superheroes. And tell me your rankings of the Spider-Man movie villains from worst to best. I like to know other people's lists as well. It's always cool to make these kind of lists and share them with other fans. Can't wait for Spider-Man Homecoming to see where Vulture is going to rank among some of these great and not so great villains. It's going to be a lot of fun. And until next time, take care.